Have you seen the recent news about Sanya? I am a person who experienced this incident. I was also diving in Sanya at the time. When I entered the water, the instructor asked me, "I don't think you would use this ordinary respirator, would you? If you pay $40 more, we'll replace it with a full face mask." I said, "I'll just use this ordinary one, thank you though. I really don't want to pay more." The coach said, "Okay then, you try it." Then he pressed me into the water suddenly and the water choked my lungs, which was super uncomfortable. I said, "Okay, stop pressuring me, brother. I'll add more money and give you $40. His attitude immediately changed 180 degrees. In the end, he required me to take a photo and charged another extra $40 on top of the full face mask costing $40. Some tourist cities in mainland China have been extremely deserted this year. For example, Sanya City in Hainan Province is particularly quiet, with few tourists in the scenic spots. The room prices of hotels and B&Bs have been going down, but there are still not many orders. The Chinese tourism market faces challenges. On the one hand, as China's economic situation continues to decline, more and more people are keeping a tight rein on finances and choosing to travel less or even not travel at all. Another reason is caused by the mainland tourism industry itself. Tourist cities like Sanya have many incidents of tourists being overcharged, which makes tourists afraid to go there. One netizen lamented, "China's tourism industry has ruined itself." Today, we're going to talk about the topic of tourists encountering forced consumption. But before we do, we would like to invite you to subscribe. Your support is our greatest motivation and allows us to bring you more valuable content. Now, moving on. Due to the economic recession, low-cost tour groups quickly spread in China. The so-called low-cost tour group is a travel agency shopping group, and you only need to pay a tour fee of $15 or $20 before departure. Once tourists land, they will be taken by the tour guides to a designated shopping location and stay in the store for sufficient time to listen to the sales staff promote the products. If tourist spending does not meet expectations, they may sometimes be insulted by the tour guide. Earlier this month, some tourists were forced to shop while traveling with a tour group in Zhujiago in Sichuan. Some netizens exposed this incident online, which attracted public attention. The tourist, surnamed Wang, who had an argument with the tour guide at the time, recounted the whole incident in an interview with Huaxiang Daily. Earlier this month, Mr. Wang signed up at the Qingyang branch of Chengdu China Travel Service Company Limited and spent $276 to join a 3-day tour group to the Huanglong Zhujiaguo line. There were 20 tourists in the group, including elderly people and children. After the tour group set off, they went to Huanglong on the first day. The female tour guide took the tourists to shop that day. Some tourists did not buy anything at that spot, and the tour guide reminded them that they should buy something when they arrived at the next place the next day. The next day, when the tour bus was on the way to Zhujiago, the tour guide again required tourists to go shopping. Some tourists bought things, but some did not. On the third day, Mr. Wang found that the itinerary for that day arranged for passengers to buy very expensive jade and silver products, which made him dissatisfied. Mr. Wang later told the reporter, "We originally thought that the consumption she was talking about was food and drink, but later we found out that it was silver products and jade sold in Tibetan areas. The prices are tens of thousands. Who can afford them?" Mr. Wang then found the tour guide, and the following is their conversation. "You said there were no hidden consumption or forced consumption throughout the process, right? Who is forcing you now? Everyone here, please answer me. From all our words, do you feel that you will not be able to leave today without forced consumption? Is that what you mean? Is this true?" "Yes, really there is." "Can you invite the Tourism Bureau and call the police hotline 110? Just call the Sichuan Provincial Tourism Bureau. You can get off the bus now. I'm getting off here. The driver and I are leaving." Mr. Wang told the tour guide, "We are willing to pay you $14 per family. Will you go directly back to Chengdu City? We want to go back early and have fun on our own." The tour guide said that each person had to pay $14 before she would consider Mr. Wang's request. At that time, the bus stopped in the uninhabited area of Minjiang River. The tour guide asked Mr. Wang to sign an agreement on the spot to leave the group. Mr. Wang said that as long as the tour guide promised not to force him to spend money, he was willing to go with the group. The female tour guide then contacted the travel agency, accusing Mr. Wang of encouraging everyone on the bus not to go shopping. "I can't lead the group anymore. I want to get off the bus. He has influenced the guests to this extent." Mr. Wang told reporters that it was still snowing outside the car and the temperature was more than 10 degrees below zero. After staying in the no man's land for about 20 minutes, the bus continued to move forward, but the tour guide left the group in the afternoon of the same day. The driver continued to lead the group to complete the entire itinerary, and the tourists were no longer forced to consume. Similar incidents have also occurred in Sanya on March 16, 2023, because the entire group of tourists only spent $140 in the duty-free shop. The female tour guide was swearing as soon as the group got back on the bus. What do you mean by taking advantage? Why do you look down on us? Who am I looking down on? You're saying we are freeloaders by only spending $140. I have been leading tour groups for so long, but I have never met such guests. It's really weird. Okay, that's over. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to others. Do you want to hear me? If you don't want to listen, you can get off. I will be your tour guide now. After this trip, you will go your way and I will go mine. From now on, we will never have any intersections. I don't mind serving you for so many days for nothing, but the driver can't do that. He only earns $14 a day, and I want to help him sell some local specialities. Just that simple. It is found out. We have found the travel agency involved. We just found it on the morning of the 17th. The tour guide is still with the group, and we are calling her over to cooperate with the investigation. We are investigating. You can wait for the official response. After a tourist uploaded the video to a social platform, the higher authorities punished the female tour guide and her travel company. One blogger just traveled to Sanya last month and found that there were very few tourists going to Sanya this year. She said that Sanya wants to build itself into an international free trade island, but at the same time it is overcharging tourists, which has frightened them so much that no one dares to go there. No consumer is ever a fool. We flew from Nantong to Sanya today. Sanya's market has plummeted this year, hotel prices have plummeted, and the number of tourists is not large. This year, people in my family said that Yalong Bay was not as lively as in previous years. There was no traffic jam on the entire island of Yalong Bay, and the journey was smooth. Do you know why no one goes to Sanya? The merchants in Sanya are really too shrewd, and the Chinese New Year should be a great opportunity for them to rip off the tourists. But sorry, the tourists are not coming. When mentioning Sanya, many people will think of incidents where tourists were threatened underwater. It's reported that when some tourists were diving, the staff took off their diving masks in the water and asked them if they wanted to take pictures. They were very scared and had to agree. According to Jimu News, tourist Miss Zheng and her family of 9 traveled to Sanya at the end of November 2023 and rented a villa there. Miss Zheng told the reporter, "The owner of the villa gave us a free yacht service. At the time, we thought it was a small boat, but when we arrived and found it was a 3-story boat. We didn't have to pay to get on board, but if we wanted to go to the 2nd and 3rd floors of the boat, we had to pay extra to upgrade. There was no charge for children, but it was $14 per adult." Miss Zhang and her family chose to pay extra to upgrade their cabin, and after the boat left the coast, the staff on board introduced diving programs to them. Diving is free, but you need to pay to rent their diving mask and mouthpiece and buy fish food. Miss Zhang's husband, mother-in-law, sister, and brother-in-law all wanted to dive. Before the dive, the staff promoted a diving photography program for them, which cost $41 per person. If a photo was needed, there was an additional fee. At that time, except for her sister who wanted to take pictures, the other 3 people explicitly refused to take pictures during the diving process. Miss Zheng said, "After a few minutes, my brother-in-law was the first to come up. He told me that the 4 of them were separated by staff underwater. The staff took off their diving mask in the water and asked if they wanted to take a photo. Her brother-in-law was worried about his life being in danger, so he agreed." Miss Zheng's husband and mother-in-law had the same experience. They didn't want to take pictures at first, but after their masks were taken off in the seawater, they had to agree to take pictures in a panic. After Miss Zheng and her family paid the photo-taking fee, they returned to their rented villa, and Miss Zheng complained to the villa owner about the incident. Afterward, the staff providing the diving service contacted her and refunded the $124 fee for the 3 people to dive and take photos. Miss Zheng said, "The refund was also conditional. They asked us not to discuss the matter publicly. Only after we agreed, the money was refunded. Regarding the above-mentioned overcharging behavior, blogger Xiao Wen said that although she had not experienced it personally, her relatives had diving experience, which was also quite bad.
亲身经历过，但我家一位亲属前几年来三亚。
Although I have not experienced it personally, a relative of mine came to Sanya a few years ago, and I took the three of them to travel around. They were told to stay underwater for 30 minutes, but they came out after only 5 minutes because their ears hurt during the dive. I even joked that we, the landlubbers from northeast China, are not suitable for this and the money was wasted. But in the past few years, I have learned to dive, and combined with this news, it suddenly dawned on me. Normally, you must equalize the ear pressure during diving. Dive slowly, pinch your nose with your hands, and pump air into your nose so that the eardrum will bulge. This is what the diving instructor must give to the diver before diving. Unscrupulous merchants will not teach you, and your ears will feel uncomfortable after going into the water. Coupled with your lack of experience, you will be afraid and will go ashore. This will shorten the experience time so that you can receive the next wave of customers. If the guest's experience time is short, it's your fault. The other party is not responsible and no refund will be given. This will not only ruin your first experience and beautiful fantasy of diving, but also greatly reduce your travel experience in Sanya.
也对三亚旅行体验大打折扣。
Blogger Minmin said that she had also been cheated in Sanya, and there were too many tricks used by dishonest businessmen. She summarized some tips on avoiding traps, hoping it'll be helpful to tourists who want to visit Sanya.
首先，买机票不要直飞三亚，这都是老生常谈了。
First of all, don't fly directly to Sanya when buying a plane ticket. This is a cliche. It costs less to fly to Haikou first and then take the intercity train to Sanya. Secondly, if you want to avoid being ripped off in Sanya, first, don't buy island clothes, and second, don't follow drivers and touts. Many friends think the colorful island aloha shirts are nice, but wearing them means that it's written on your face that I'm a big sucker and I'm easy to cheat. Also, ignore those who are taking photos at tourist attractions, soliciting, or taking the bus. No matter how cheap they tell you at first, if they don't charge you 3 times the price later, don't even think about leaving. No matter where you go, you can directly use the taxi app. Third, you can book accommodation with a local travel manager, which is much cheaper than placing an order yourself. Also, don't touch cheap things such as $14 supercars, $28 diving, and $40 yachts online. The prices for these things are very cheap at first, but they will charge you more after you get there. There are also cases where hotels offer free travel photography, free sea trips, etc., but they charge twice.
免费出海之类的都有二次收费的现象。
That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.